So today is the launch of Philosophy Matters, which is a campaign run by the British Philosophical Association. And it's trying to remind people that philosophy isn't a discipline that's just for an elite group of people hidden away in the ivory tower working on their own. No, philosophy matters to people's lives. So the event this afternoon is bringing together a number of different researchers who all have experience of working with other disciplines or other sectors. There's an appetite for philosophy out there, not only among the public, but also in other disciplines and other sectors. And we are here to tell them, yes, come and talk to us. We do have something to offer.
Over the last few years, particularly the last 10 or so years, philosophers have been out and about making a real difference to society and to people's lives.
Philosophy matters because it helps us make sense of the difficult, often challenging world that we have. Think about what the news headlines say at the moment. Fake news, thinking about the problems and opportunities with AI, that's coming down the track. Thinking about the ethics of war. Big questions in democracy, questions about literature and art and beauty. Big questions that we're all asking ourselves. And philosophers have the tools and the expertise, not just to ask these questions if people approach us, they're part of what we do all the time.
And I read this description of philosophy and I heard echoed back to me all the questions that I was interested in.
I think philosophy always works at the boundary areas of where the empirical science runs out. Studying the brain, we don't often get ethics approvals to crack open people's skulls and mess about in there, quite rightly. So there's really interesting questions about how you access the nature of the mind.
People may not realise it, but we live in a world shaped by political theorists like John Rawls, like John Stuart Mill, who comes up with the harm principle. We should be allowed to do what we like, so long as we don't harm other individuals. That's fundamental to the way our politics operates. Philosophy is the base substructure for all other disciplines.
So the Francis Crick Institute is a big biomedical research institute with lots and lots of scientists working at it, and I'm also working there. And it's very unusual indeed to have a philosopher of science working at a place like that. My own case demonstrates how philosophy need not just occur within the confines of a department of philosophy. Philosophy is a very powerful thing to have training in that also helps you learn other things in other areas too, because it helps you find organizing principles in masses of information.
In medicine and in biomedical science and biomedical research, we're imagining new futures. And in that imagination of a new future, we're asking the question of what should the future look like? So what kind of societies do we want to build? Like who should have access to a medicine and who shouldn't have access to a medicine? It's a great privilege to be part of these conversations that scientists and medics have when they're making these decisions, because they make them every day, all of the time. Research is ethics in action, medicine is ethics in action, life is ethics in action.
I think there's an image of philosophy as being a very, very difficult subject, and it can be, but there's lots of philosophy which is extremely accessible. And so I hope the campaign makes people realise that philosophy can be for them.